A new mission for the USS Constitution. Chapter 12.
David jumped up and ran out to the bridge proper, signaling Larry to stay where he was. He commanded, "Tall, hail that ship." Tall turned.
On screen, Captain.
The face of the Archon captain came on screen.
Do you dare challenge this ship?
David replied, "Stand down, or I'll destroy you." The Archon began to laugh when David ordered, "O'Reilly, one torpedo, please." The port side of the Archon's ship disintegrated. David asked, "Shall I send you another package, Captain?" From the throat of the Archon came a roar such as man has never heard.
Fire at will.
David calmly said, "O'Reilly, send your second gift." The Archon ship exploded in a firestorm. The next thing David heard was,
We surrender.
David said in a calm voice, "Prepare to be boarded." Turning to Larry, "Take a team over there and bring whatever remains alive back here in chains. Remember, shoot first and ask questions later." Larry jumped up, began to call his boarding team, and almost ran to the teleporter room. Larry brought the Archon captain to David, and the captain said,
How did you do that? We can't destroy one of our ships even with our technology.
David replied, "Now you know what it's like to get your ass kicked. How does it feel? Tasha, take the captain and put him in the brig with his shipmates." The Archon, surprised, asked,
What, you're not going to kill us?
Tasha strong-armed him.
That's not our way. You and the rest of your civilization will appear before a tribunal to be judged for your actions. Who knows, maybe someone will take pity on you and let you finish out your days in prison.
She took the Archon off to the brig. David had what remained of the Archon ship towed and thrown into a star. David said, "Tall, I need to speak to Admiral Marovich." After a moment, the Admiral answered,
Captain Stevens, Tim has told me about your adventures. What do you need now?
David replied, "Did Admiral Halloran tell you about the Archons?" The Admiral replied that he had. David continued, "My brig is full of Archons. I need a place to store them to await their trial." The Admiral answered.
How many?
David replied, "Well, I have 11 right now. But our fleet has over 30. The Admiral answered.
Teleport TRM down to the Navy brig in New London. 10 go back out on your mission. Greet Admiral Yellow Tooth for me. Come seize Constitution. Mitrovich out.
David replied, "Calm seas and fair winds, Admiral. Hank, the fleet, best, fastest way. Helm, UL-16. Execute." Came the order from David. "Larry, I want to see T-Sun and Winters in my ready room, please." Larry ordered.
Lieutenant T-Sun, Crewman Winters, please report to the bridge ASAP.
3 minutes later, the lieutenant and crewman reported to the first officer. Larry stuck his head into the ready room.
Captain, T-Sun and Winters are here.
"Please send them in." "Thanks, Larry." David waved the two women in and offered them a seat. The two ladies sat together, holding hands. T-Sun asked,
You wanted to see us, sir?
Winters nodded. David smiled, "Yes. I called you here to thank you both for your courage and loyalty." David looked at the joined hands. "Anything going on with you two?" Winters replied,
Only moral support, Captain. The lieutenant gives me courage.
T-Sun smiled.
We have become best friends, if that's okay, sir.
The captain nodded. "We are going back to the TCP world. I have no idea what we might encounter. But, please, be ready. Like every other crew member, I want you to be prepared for a battle. One like we have never seen before. We'll need every advantage we can muster. Thank you, ladies. You may go now." David sat back, thinking, those two are the epitome of strong, loyal, courageous sailors. Sure glad they're with us. The Constitution arrived in the TCP sector, sending an arrival message to Admiral Yellowtooth. "Admiral, all representatives delivered, encouraging responses." Silence. "Ahoy, Admiral Yellowtooth, Admiral Sims, Commander Stiles." Silence. "Gale, scan for any life." Crewman Swartz asked to speak to the captain, and Larry announced him to the captain. David looked up. "Ed, or do you prefer Edward?" The crewman answered.
"Ed, sir, is fine. Sir, I can hear Admiral Sims."
David leaned across his desk. "Hear her?" What do you hear?
Sir, the other ships are here. They're in some kind of limbo, sir.
David asked. Can she hear us? Swartz replied.
She said yes, sir. She said it's very faint, but she knows we're here.
David asked. Admiral, what happened? Crewman Swartz answered.
After the TCP left, a blue cloud enveloped the fleet, and suddenly, things changed. We can't interact with the universe.
David commanded. Tall, hail the TCP.
On screen, Captain.
A representative of the TCP appeared. David demanded, are you responsible for that blue cloud that has incapacitated our fleet? The TCP representative replied.
Yes. We are keeping them in reserve for when the Archons return.
In a quiet, calm voice, David said, release them. Now. The representative replied.
No. We will include you with your fleet.
Again in a calm, quiet voice, release them now, or I will obliterate your world.
You wouldn't.
David, still calm. You screw with my friends and allies. I will have no compunction against blowing you off the face of your planet. A blue cloud was seen drifting toward the Constitution. David told Stella to avoid the cloud and ordered, O'Reilly, 1TT torpedo viaduct hyperspace to a vacant field on that planet. A mushroom cloud erupted on the planet, and suddenly the fleet reappeared. Admiral Yellowtooth bellowed.
You duplicitous dogs, you can fend for yourselves from this point on. Your part of our treaty is null and void. Captains, let's go home.
As the various ships began to depart, the members of the fleet heard pleading and begging for forgiveness and help. To which Admiral Yellowtooth replied,
You two-faced jackals are on your own.
the Constitution was 2 parsecs into their journey home when Tall said,
Captain, listen.
The Archons are back. Help, please.
Admiral Sims turned to David.
You look.
He replied, I want to go back. Not for TCP, I want another crack at the Archons. The Admiral nodded.
As we would say when I worked with horses, Captain, I give you your head.
David ordered, Hank, back to TCP. Stella UL-18. Then he called O'Reilly. O'Reilly, how many hyperspace torpedoes can we launch simultaneously? O'Reilly replied.
3. But we can launch 3 more in just 1 minute and again.
Be ready, we're going back to TCP. I'm not sure how many Archons are there, but I want as much firepower as possible. He heard.
Aye aye, Captain.
As the Constitution arrived in the TCP sector, they noted 7 Archon ships beginning to surround the TCP planet. David told Tall, hail the Archons, this is Captain David Stephen of the USS Constitution of the United System Federation, stand down or be destroyed. He heard a laugh.
Do you dare attack this fleet, Captain Stevens?
We have already dared and destroyed at least 4 of your mighty ships. And I'm just itching to take you down as well. Stand down. The Archon replied.
Do your worst, Captain Stevens.
David ordered, hyperspace torpedoes, fire. The lead ship erupted in a firestorm. 6 Archon ships blinked out of existence. From the planet.
Captain Stevens, thank you.
David responded, blow it out of your. I did this for the many lives the Archons have taken. You're still on your own. David ordered, home Jeeves, and don't spare the horses.